Good day mga anak, good day mga estudyante, kumusta kayong lahat? Ngayon po, today we're going to discuss the lesson for quarter 4, particularly on the week 5 sa ating klase. At simulan po natin. So today we're going to discuss the variance standard deviations of the ungrouped data, the symbols for the x squared and s. Yan po. So first, we have to define some of the related terms in our topic today. The variance or the s squared and the standard deviations, the s, are the most practical and commonly used measures of variations. The standard deviations allow us to immediately compare the spread of different sets of scores and enable us also to interpret the scores of given set of data. The variance is defined as the quotients of the square deviations from the mean divided by n minus 1. And lastly, the standard deviations or TAS is the square root of the variance. So today we're going to discuss the processes, the procedures and steps on how to solve the variance and standard deviations of the ungrouped data. So we have here the formulas that we're going to use. The first one is this. This is the commonly used formula for the ungrouped data. We have the variance formula. The S squared is equal to the summations of the difference of the x minus the mean squared divided by n minus 1. Or we can say that this is the summation of the main deviations. Ang tawag po ito sa taas. Ayan. Minus n, divided by n minus 1. Okay, the summations of mean deviation. The summation of the squared mean deviations po. Ayan po. So, ito na lamang. Yan. And then, the other one is this one. Ito po yung sa ungrouped frequency distributions po. Pero, hindi po natin gagamitin ito. Dahil dito lang po tayo magpo-focus sa formula po ito. The summation of the squared of the difference of x and the mean divided by the n minus 1. While this one, hindi na po natin siya gagamitin because this is for the raw data of the unequal frequency distributions po. So yun po yun. And then right after the variance formula, we have the standard deviations. According to the definitions, the standard deviations is the square root of the variance. Okay, so since may nakita po tayong isa pang formulang yan, ipapakita lang po natin but hindi po natin siya gagamitin muna. Doon muna po tayo sa pinaka-commonly used for the ungrouped data. So we have here the square root of x squared becomes s, and the square root of these mean deviations, ayan po, of the square root of mean deviations divided by the n minus 1. Ayan po. So correction lang po dito as nabanggit ko po kanina, the summation of the mean deviations squared. Okay, yun po yun. And then, next po ay yung isa sa mga hindi naman natin gagamitin pero ginagamit din po siya. Along the way, baka magamit po natin siya. Pero gagamitin natin yung pinaka-mas simple po. So, dito po tayo. Itong dalawa lamang po ang ating gagamitin. This one and this one. Next, procedures in getting the variance and the standard deviation. The first steps, we have to calculate the mean. The second step is get the difference between each scores and the mean. The third one is get the square of the difference. The fourth one is get the sum, the square deviation is step number 3. Yung po yung nabanggit ko kanina, square deviations. The fifth one is divide the sum of the square difference by n minus 1. And the number obtained is called the variance. So particularly when we say step 5 in these procedures, it talks about the variance. 6. Take the square root of the variance, the standard deviations. So on step 6, it talks about the standard deviations, the final processes, or the final steps. Next one. We have here the illustrative examples. So, word problem po tayo. Pasukan po natin para mas mabilis po ang ating cook up. So, the first one, the price of a 250-gram powder soup of a leading brand was recorded from the 5 supermarkets. The prices in peso were 90, 82, 83, 79, 95. And we are asked to find the standard deviations of the prices in peso. So let's follow the procedures. Step 1. We're going to solve for the mean. So the first thing to do is to get the sum of the scores. Ayan. Tulad na po nakita nyo. 90 plus 90, 90 plus 82 plus 83 plus 79 plus 95 divided by 5. The reason why it is 5 because we're talking about the 5 supermarkets. So the sum of the scores is 429 divided by 5. And we obtain 85.80 to the nearest hundreds as our mean. The next step. Step 2 is to get the difference of scores and the mean. So, sa kaliwang bahagi, we have the scores, and on the right side, we have the mean. So, here, we're going to take the difference of 90 and 85.80. We have 4.20, 85 minus 85.80 is negative 3.80, 83 minus 85.80 is negative 2.80, 79 minus 85.80 is equal to negative 6.80, 95 minus 85.80 is equal to 9.20. So, ayun po. So, since we are done in step 1 and step 2, we're going to have the step 3. The step 3 is, we're going to take the squared of mean deviations. Yung step 2, particular po ito sa mean deviations na tinatawag. So, we're going to take the squared of mean deviations. So, 4.20 squared is the same as 4.20 times 4.20 as we discussed in the first quarter. Ayan po. So, taking the squared of the mean deviations or the difference, 4.2 squared is 17.64, negative 3.80 squared is 40.44, negative 2.80 squared is 7.84, negative 6.80 squared is 46.24, and 9.20 squared is 84.64. Okay, respectively. Next is, since we are done in step 1, 2, and 3, we're going to have the step number 4. The step number 4 is the summations of the squared of mean deviations. Ayan, squared of the mean deviations. So ito po, we're going to take the sum. Sum lang po ang gagawin natin dyan. We're going to add these entries, itong mga numbers na ito. I-add lang po natin yan. 17.64 plus 14.44 plus 7.84 plus 46.24 plus 84.64 is equal to 170.80. Ito na yung tinatawag na summation of the squared of mean deviations. So, ito po siya. So, next, we have step number 5. Ito po yung symbols para sa, ayan, yung tinatawag natin the summation of the squared of mean deviations. Yung 170.80. N is 5. Okay, 5 supermarkets na pinag-uusapan. So, minus 1, we have 5 minus 1 is 4. 170.80 divided by 4 is 42.70 in hundredths place. Ayun po, tatandaan niyo po lagi yun. And step 5 is also known is the process in solving for the variance. So, we have one step left na lang naman po. Step 6 o ang final step is solving for the standard deviations. So, since we have the variance, all we have to do is to take the square root of the variance for us to solve the standard deviations. So, taking the square root of the both side, the square root of the s squared becomes s. And we're going to use the approximate sign. Ito po, parang equal sign. That is the approximate sign. Since we are dealing with radical signs, okay, of rational numbers, hindi sakto yan, kaya approximate po tayo. The square root of 42.70 is approximately equal to 6.53 in hundreds place. Ayan po. So, maging familiar po tayo, lalo sa gumagamit ng calculator, doon sa square root sign. Hindi po siya pareho nito. Ito yung square root is not equal to this one. Yung divide, hindi po. Hindi po. Pero sa calculator, ang divisions ay ganito po yung makikita niyo po. Ayan. O di kaya yung slash. Maging familiar po tayo. Huwag po tayong masyadong malito dyan. And since we are done with step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, dealing with the variance and the ways on how to get the standard deviations, let's have some practice. Okay, so before we practice, so if we organize the table, if we organize this course into table, ito po siya. Nakikita po ninyo yung step by step na ginawa po natin kanina. Ayan. So, for us to solve the mean, we're going to find first the sum of the scores and the summation of x. Since it is 429 divided by 5, tulad po na nakita po natin kanina. And if we have the summation of x, we can solve for the mean. And that is 429 divided by 5 is 85.80. Just like what we have on the previous slides. The next one is to find the difference of the scores and the mean. Tulad po na nakita po ninyo. Ito lang din po yung kanina. Ginawa lang po natin ng representation sa tables. And we're going to take the squared of the mean deviations. Ayan. Tulad po ng nakikita po ninyo. Si process. And we're going to take the sum of the square of mean deviations. As what you see here, 170.80. Ayan po. Same process kanina dun sa previous slides. 5 is, n is 5 minus 1 becomes 4. So 170.80 divided by 4 is equal to 42.70 as our variance for our step 5. Since we have the variance, the final step is getting the standard deviations. And we have 6.53. Ayan po yun. Tinake lang po natin yung square root ng ating variance. So, ito lang yung maayos na representations ng ating raw data kanina sa ungrouped data para magawa po natin ng table at hindi po tayo nalilito. So, ganito po yun. Next is this. Let's have the practices or exercises. So, here, we have table here which scores 10, 12, 12, 14, and we are asked to find the standard deviations following the procedures with 6 steps. Ayun po, 6 steps procedures po natin. So, first one is to find the summation of x for us to find the mean. Ayan po. So, ito po tayo. The summation of x is 48. 10 plus 12 plus 12 plus 14 is 48. And then, the next part is okay. So, we're going to divide 48 into 4s. Okay, since n is 4, or the number of entries is 4, and we can solve for the mean since we have given summation of x and the n. The mean is 12. So, the next step is to find the mean deviations or the difference of the scores and the mean. Ayan. So, 10 minus 12 is negative 2, 12 minus 12 is 0, 12 minus 12 is 0, and 14 minus 12 is 2. And then, the third step is to get the squared of mean deviations. Negative 2 squared is 4, 0 squared is 0, the same. 2 squared is 4. So, and now, the next step is to get the summations of the square root of the mean deviations. And that is 8. 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 8. So, since we have the summation of the square root of mean deviations, we can also solve for the variance now. Okay, given the 8 and the n, which is 4 minus 1 is 3. So 8 divided by 4 minus 1 or 8 divided by 3 is equal to 2.67. So 2.67 is the actual variance number or the value. Since we have the variance, we can now solve for the standard deviations by taking its square root, and that is equal to 1.63 in hundreds place. So take note, once we solve for the variance, lagi po natin siyang i-round up sa nearest hundreds. Okay, what you have with in variance, just put it on the standard deviations under the square root sign, take its square roots, and on the final answer, make it on the hundreds place pa rin para pare-pareho po tayo. So these are the step-by-step procedures on how to solve for the variance and the standard deviations of the ungrouped data. So that's all. Thank you for listening. I thank you for listening. God bless everyone. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sir Eco Shera. And please do comment with some tutorials para magawa po natin. And then, para makatulong po sa inyo paggawa ng inyong learning task. And with that, God bless everyone. Imasya.